of themselves. Those are good things. The kind of things that we really should be doing all the time. I think a long time ago somebody came up with that idea because, you know, Jesus did say to deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. And he didn't put a time limit on the fight. He left it open-ended, like you'll do this until I come back and get you kind of thing. So it was a way of life during Jesus' time. What we changed it to was, all right, in this particular period, for just this amount of time now, do this. For this particular week, okay, just do this. Instead of it being a way of life. That's the danger of it. That would be the danger of it. But then as time evolved, and the further away from the cross we got, we began to add things to it. Because even the name Easter is a problem. Does anybody know who Easter was?
Didn't that come out of paganism?
It did. It did. All of our holidays did, actually. But Easter was someone. She changed her name, but it's a woman. Oh, I gave it away. It's a woman. Does anybody know who? Esther? No.
Athena?
Athena, who's that?
A Greek goddess?
Oh, no, this was just a regular chick. That's an old word. Isn't that the 70s word? She was a chick. She was married to a guy. Let me see if I can give you the story and you remember who he was. When he died, she claimed that he became a deity and that he turned into, this is going to sound so silly now, so I'm not making it up. It makes me laugh when I think about it. But that he became a deity and he turned into the sun. And so when you saw the sun, you saw him. And so in the early times, there were people who actually worshiped the sun. They would do it at 12 noon because the sun was right over, and they would make a circle. They were circle worshipers. You guys ever heard that before? Wow. And actually, the word church comes from the word circle, after these circle worshipers. And they worship the sun at 12 noon every day.
Ask the librarian if you're right.
Ask the librarian if I'm right. Librarian, would you tell him I'm right?
I'll vouch for you, Clyde.
Have you guys ever heard of anyone named Talmud?
Mm-hmm.
Who was Talmud? Talmud? Guys ever heard of Talmud? Okay, you will be shocked to hear this then. Talmud was Easter's son. And he was killed by a pig. So on the time that he was killed, or that day, Easter deemed that we must slaughter a pig, which is why you have an Easter ham. Anybody eat ham on Easter? Heard of the Easter ham? Did you think it was because Thanksgiving was turkey, so we switched? Talmud, her son, got killed by a wild hog. And so they deemed to kill a hog on that day in reference to Talmud. So when she died, they claimed, or whoever followed the circle people, they said that she became a deity like her husband. Can you guess what she became? She became the moon, yes. And so the sun and the moon, you can kind of see where this...
The sun became the stars.
Well, the sun was a star, but the interesting part is the sun died before she died. Well, that's our tradition. But we have some of that tradition because people are eating Easter hams. Why? We probably don't even know why.
Because it tastes good.
It's not good for you. That's another subject. All right, that might be the reason that you do it. I don't think you've never even heard this story, have you? So it couldn't be because she said do it. Gotcha. Have you ever seen anybody do this? What is that? Well, that's what I thought too. Guess what that really is? That is the T for Talmud. You guys should look at it. It really is. I was shocked too.
It is.
But look it up, though. Don't take my word. This is stuff you can Google, and a gazillion sites come up. But like some really good, you want a good Hebrew site, will tell you. You'll tell by the writing and stuff. They just let it all out. I think it's Talmout or something like that. But you put it in about like that, and they'll ask you, did you say that? Yeah. So anyway, but this is just the history of Easter. Every holiday has like some stories about this kind of stuff. Every single one. She mentioned Christmas earlier. Christmas is said to be the birth of Christ. Is that true? How many people believe, though, it is that does anybody here believe it was Jesus' birthday? Does anybody here believe it was close to Jesus' birthday? Not even close. So, but there are people out there, clearly. You have met people over the holidays that will say this is the reason for the season. What's the reason for the season? Jesus Christ. And they celebrate Christ by, what do? Gifts. And you want to be helped, the best time to be helped is around Christmas. Somebody has a serious need, and especially the Erie County is a very giving area. You have a need, around Christmas, you probably can get somebody to come up off some money then. They'll do that. Bad scenarios. When I worked at the register years ago, we would always have these sad cases, and we would pick the saddest ones and put them in the paper, and companies and everybody would always, because we're going to run a story about it after that. So, one woman's furnace, it messed up, and it's $3,000. She needs a brand new one. She has 6 kids, and it's just her, and her husband died of cancer years ago. And believe me, by the evening, some heating and cooling place has already fixed it up. Already done a brand new one that they got, and it's always like that. Around that time of the year, you can do that kind of stuff. So now, where did all of that come from? Because we know there are biblical evidence that Jesus' birthday was not December 25th. In fact, his birthday would have had to have been in the fall. Why? Well, the cold. They might have got December out of the cold. But there's some facts about his birth that let us know that it had to be around late September, somewhere around there. And how do we know that? Because the shepherds, yes, watching their flock by night, because they were taking them to harvest. Harvest was always around that time, even on that Roman calendar. So you kind of get an idea, well, if they were still doing that, because it hadn't been in December, harvest would have been over, there would have been no shepherds watching flock to take anywhere. So that little fact just guarantees us, nope, it wasn't December 25th, but it was another time. So on December 25th, though, it becomes another time of the year where people can be nice, peaceful, play nice. People play nice around the holidays. Until they get into the hustle and bustle of buying stuff. But Western culture, again, do that. And what happens the day after Thanksgiving? Yeah, and how much money do we spend on that day? There are probably many, I know Walmart is one, that's Walmart's biggest selling day. That's where they make more money than they do the rest of the year on that day. That weekend is the biggest retail weekend. So that's kind of all, that's the hidden thing behind it. But hey, there's some religious things, everybody feels kids ought to have toys around that time, don't you? Whether they're good or bad, we've messed up the Santa Claus thing. Bad kids still get toys. Because we're at that giving time of the year. But it has nothing to do with religion. Although, there are times around that time of the year that you kind of look bad if no one sees you around Christmas. You're not even going to church. What's wrong with you? There's a stigma around it. Because traditionally, that's what we've done. Let's get into a couple of more specifics. There are some places who feel that you must give 10% of your income. And I know of 2 churches in this area who actually will debit it out of your account. If you are a member there, you actually have to give up those numbers and your checking account, and they will take the money out so that you don't forget. One of them has like 400-something members, and they're all being debited out. Got to make sure they get their money, because they're doing a whole bunch of stuff for the Lord, right? So the idea of a willful giving, what does that violate scripturally? Is there a problem with doing it that way? Yes, ma'am. You going to give me that scripture, or are you just going to quote it us? In the New...
Romans or
1 Corinthians? 1 Corinthians 16? Huh? 16? Right. Is it 2? Verse 2 actually says that? It's either 1 or 2. Somebody look it up just to make sure. 1 Corinthians 16. I'm thinking of a couple other scriptures and it's messing me up. I want to say that says, now concerning the collection for the saints, I've given instruction to the church of Galatia, and so I give to you. The first day of the week, let everyone lay by in store. That lay by in store comes right out there. It's what we have purposed in our hearts. 2 Corinthians 9 and 6.